Okay, welcome everybody. We'll go ahead and get started. It's 2 minutes after 6:30. So we got a long, busy agenda for tonight. And so we'll keep going. You're at our LD12 monthly meeting. Today is Monday, October 10th. I just want to remind everybody, if you're to keep yourself muted, it helps to make sure that when the speaker is speaking, that they can be heard. Put stuff into chat. For the executive board members that are running the Zoom, it's sometimes hard for me to check my chat during the meetings. I try my best, but if not, I always download it. If I've missed something, please text me after the meeting. I get back to everybody. We have our three representative candidates for LD12, Mitzi, Patty, and Stacey on. Then we'll hear from our Representative Epstein and Jermaine and Senator Bowie. So we'll go ahead and get started. And today is Indigenous Peoples Day. So I've asked Matthew to come in and read a land acknowledgement that he has written specifically for us. So Matthew, I'll let you unmute and take it away.
Yeah, I thought, good evening, everyone. My name is Matthew Yatsayte. And I was asked, one, to kind of give some discussion around Indigenous Peoples Day, as well as to provide a land acknowledgement. And I know y'all have one. Being that this is Indigenous Peoples Day, I thought we might kind of increase it a bit more and add to this as well. But at this time, we would like to acknowledge that the state of Arizona is situated upon the homelands of many tribal nations. Today, 22 federally recognized tribes reside within Arizona, along with 574 federally recognized tribes across the United States. As well as the identity of Arizona being of indigenous origin, the name Arizona comes from Alishonak, which is a term for a small spring, which is actually an O'odham word for these lands that have been settled since 1752 by the Spanish, with Phoenix residing on the ancestral homelands of the Huukam and now the homelands of the Akamra'atam and the Halishitom, otherwise known as the Salt River and Gila River peoples, and the Maricopa. The ancestors of indigenous communities within the state of Arizona have been a foundation to the everyday livelihood of the residents within the state. From the canals and irrigation systems we still use today, as well as the trails and roads that are now currently our streets. The lives of those who have been here and are still here played and still influence a large part of daily life in Arizona. Throughout the past 500 years, the impact of colonialism has been detrimental to the indigenous lands and languages, affecting their livelihood, and many people who live in the Southwest are still unaware of this history. Furthermore, Arizona consists of almost 500,000 indigenous voices, thoughts, and ideals. These indigenous peoples continue to thrive, educate, and advocate for the strengthening of their indigenous way of life. And we challenge you to educate yourself about the history of the communities that still continue to thrive today. And moving forward, it is vital to honor and respect that you're always on indigenous land, or as the O'odham would say, O'odham Juvid. Thank you.
Thank you. And of course, we asked them to talk more about it. So Matthew, you're going to continue. Keep going. I love it.
Right into it. So yeah, basically, we just wanted to talk about indigenous cultures within Arizona, as well as being that this is an LD meeting and it's also election season. We can talk about the Native American path to suffrage, especially within Arizona. But within Arizona, Arizona's home to 22 federally recognized tribes. There are some additional tribes who are not federally recognized who don't necessarily have reservations within the state of Arizona, but their homelands are still there, as well as 7 language families that are located within Arizona. Some of those being Uto-Aztecan, Athabascan for the Navajo and Apache dialects, as well as there are additional Tanoan and Carician languages, and as well as Zuni being a language isolate as well. But almost every single culture is diverse, as well as some of the native cultures from Arizona go all the way down even into Mexico. For example, the O'odham. Being that we are in the Phoenix Valley area, this is the land of the Akamra'atam, the flowing water people, which is the Salt River and Gila River people. And you go more south, and you'll find the Tanatam people, which is the desert people. And if you keep going south as well, and once you get into Mexico, you have the Hiachatam, which are the sand people, essentially. And you go south a bit more further, and then you have the Toagatam, which is the mountain people as well. We'll go to the next one. Listed right here are the 22 tribes listed within the state of Arizona. Some of these tribes may not fully live in Arizona, but still have what's considered holy lands. For example, the Pueblo of Zuni, number 14 on the list, although that they within the reservation lands, they don't live in the state of Arizona, there is a small area that is considered Zuni Reservation where nobody lives up near St. John's, Arizona. And this is actually the site of the Zuni Heavens. It is a sacred ground where people go to plant prayer sticks, as well as prayer and pilgrimages that take place within the state of Arizona. But let's go on to a few notable indigenous peoples within the state of Arizona throughout history. One of the biggest people that are known are the Navajo Code Talkers, which back in World War II were able to utilize the language that they were once punished for speaking. They were able to use that to encode messages when we were fighting in the Pacific Theater, helping us essentially win the Pacific Theater within World War II. Alongside that, we have Ira Hayes, who is actually O'odham himself and a part of the very famous flag raising on Mount Suribachi in Iwo Jima. Some notable folks as well as additional folks who are still around today, but these are kind of some on the historical part when it comes to indigenous peoples. But down to the path of suffrage, or earning the right to vote, we have to take ourselves all the way back to actually 1830s. So we'll start with what's called the Marshall Trilogy, which is after Chief Justice John Marshall, who was the main one who authored 3 of these cases, which still impact American Indian policy to this day. The main one we do want to look at is Cherokee Nation v. Georgia in 1831. What was decided from that was essentially that Native Americans could be considered a ward of the state, which that'll come in a lot later, but this is just to kind of bring it up now. But the first thing we have actually was in 1887, the Dawes Act. What the Dawes Act would do is it would grant any Native American citizenship on solely one factor. You would have to give up your culture and assimilate into American society in order to be considered a citizen of the United States. Though it didn't come at it came at some conflict, as well as not many people were able to just give up their way of life. Though through a lot of boarding school practices, unfortunately, a lot of our traditions have been lost. It wasn't until later in 1924, shouldn't be, the American Indian Citizenship Act under Hoover granted citizenship to all Native Americans, regardless of any sort of dropping culture or assimilating into society. Regardless, you were considered a citizen. Though the right to vote did not follow soon with that. And actually, it wasn't until in 1928 when Pima County Recorder denied a O'odham citizen to register to vote. With that, they decided to take it to court, and that's where we have the Porter v. Hall case. And this actually enshrined that Native Americans were considered wards of the state. They were, quote, using the Cherokee Nation v. Georgia case. And because they were considered wards of the state in the Arizona State Constitution, when someone is considered known not of sound mind or insane or a ward of the state, they would not be able to take part in any sort of election. So because of that Cherokee Nation v. Georgia from 1831, that withheld Native Americans from being able to register to vote within the state of Arizona. It wasn't until after World War II when a lot of these Native American veterans came back from fighting in the war to find out that they would not be able to vote within Arizona. And that's where we have the Harrison v. Levine case in 1948, which was, it was decided on actually June 15th of 1948, which enshrined finally the right to vote for Native Americans within the state of Arizona. But since then, there have still been additional laws to suppress Native American votes, from lack of access to polling locations, as well as not requiring a legitimate address to be used when it comes to having to register a vote, especially for our rural and remote area folks as well. But through this, one thing we want to talk about is Native American or Indigenous resiliency. Through 500 years, as mentioned before, of colonialism, scorched earth campaigns, wars, assimilation, boarding schools, Native Americans have been able to stand resilient and to still continue and thrive to today, to carry on those stories, to carry on the language, to carry on these traditions in these celebrations, our way of life. And that's one thing I just wanted to remind, that Native Americans are still here within everyday society, that we are still working, one, to restore our way of life, but as well as to continue to preserve our way of life in the land around us, which is one thing that's most important to us. But thank you again, everyone, for hearing me speak and talk about the past of suffrage, as well as some additional fun facts for you trivia today. So anytime you say Arizona, just remember Alishonak is where we are.
Oh,
Sapo and Elaqua.
that was so amazing. I learned a lot. Thank you, Matthew. I am so honored that you were able to come and do this for us. It was amazing. And I'm sure we'll see a lot of you with Healthcare Rising, because I know that you are with them and you are coming to our events. So thank you again. I appreciate everything. So
I'm glad you're able to have me. I always enjoy talking about Native American history, not even though I'm finished, but that's why we did our Voices of Indigenous Voters, voter education for Native American youth, one, to help others remember that and hopefully share that information with people too. But thank you again for having me.
Well, as soon as we knew that our meeting was going to be on Indigenous Peoples Day, you were the first name that came up. Everyone's like, call Matthew, ask Matthew. So thank you very, very much. I appreciate it. So
glad you enjoyed.
All right. It's our, I know it says September at the top, but it's really our October Bada Bing raffle. It is the month of October. This Halloween basket is amazing. It's sitting over here. I'm going to buy my tickets. While I'll leave this up for a few minutes, if you are a first-time attendee, if this is your first time attending an LD12 Democrats meeting, please put your name into the chat. We would like to recognize all of our first-time attendees, and then also give you a chance to purchase your raffle tickets for these gift baskets. And so Sherry, we don't have any, we have to have a new first-time attendee.
I don't see anybody in chat.
Okay.
I'm just looking through the list to see if anybody's jumping out. Oh, Barb Rodman, new. She just moved here from Denton, Texas. Thank you, Barb. I was the one that was communicating with her through email when she first was wanting to get involved. So thank you for joining us.
Oh, yes. And Barb, I had lived in Texas for 5 years, so I know we're Denton. I lived in Fort Worth, so we'll have to talk.
And then we have Holly Reagan. She's not sure if this is her first time, but we'll say it is, and welcome and thank you for joining us, Holly.
Okay. We also want to recognize our elected officials. If we have any elected officials that are on the call, please put your name into the chat so we can recognize you. And Barb and Holly, welcome to the LD12 Democrats. We're excited. We've got a lot of stuff going on. So if you're an elected official, please put your information into chat so that we can recognize all of our elected officials.
All right, so far we have State Representative Jennifer Germain. We have our current state senator, Sean Bowie. And I'm trying to see, nobody else is coming up in chat.
I saw Lauren
Cootie was on the call, yes. Electeds, let's see. That's all I see in the list. If anybody else pops up, feel free to hop on and put your name in the chat. Otherwise, we'll move on to our candidates. And if you are a candidate currently running for office, you can raise your hand using the Zoom hand raising function. And then we'll give you a chance to say hi and let us know real quick, 30 seconds or less, what's going on with your campaign or what you need.
Mm-hmm. I know we have, do we have anybody?
I know
nobody has their hand raised. Oh, there's
okay,
Jennifer.
Hi, everybody. Jennifer Germain running for San Marcos Justice of the Peace, which covers most of the city of Chandler. I'd love your support next month when you go to vote, and just keep knocking those doors and making those conversations. And this is going to be a turnout election. So let's do this, and let's get I'm going to challenge Ahwatukee again to get 95% Democratic turnout.
Oh, gosh.
We were so close last time.
I know.
Okay, next I have Bridget Bellavina running for constable in Kyrene Justice Precinct.
Hello, everybody. This is Bridget Bellavina running for constable. Looking forward to working with all of you over this next crazy month that's coming up and leading up to elections. We have ballots coming out this week, and let's get out there and vote early and soon, and please vote for me. It's been pretty busy in the constable world. I am appointed, and it's been a lot of activity, and I hope to continue to do the work. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Bridget. Next up, we have Joan Green running for Phoenix City Council.
Sorry.
Oh,
there
sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Joan Green, and like everybody, we are just, I guess I can say this, we're among friends, kicking tush and taking names at the door. So we are, all over Ahwatukee, all over the north part of the district. So our goal is to do you guys proud and bring home a win for us. So thank you very much. And I look forward to also speaking at Dems and Donuts next week. Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Yes, thank you, Joan. Next up, we have Lauren Kuby. She's running for Corporation Commission.
Hello, everyone. I'm in Buckeye in my car about to speak, but wanted to reintroduce myself. I'm running for Arizona Corporation Commission with Sandra Kennedy. Make sure this is the only race where you vote for two statewide. So vote for Kuby and Kennedy for Corporation Commission. And just know that my chief competitor, because there was a poll done, so I hear I'm neck and neck with Kevin Thompson, who is running, who is a former utility lobbyist. I don't think the Arizona Constitution wanted a utility lobbyist representing the people of Arizona on the Corporation Commission. So when you elect Sandra, you're electing consumer champions, solar advocates, and corporate watchdogs. Make sure to vote for two. Let's turn blue in 22.
Thank you, Lauren. I don't see anybody else on the call other than our three legislative candidates who we're going to be hearing from later. So with that, Melissa, I will give it back to you.
Actually, you are up.
Oh, yes. We have our neighbor to neighbor volunteer spotlight. We wanted to take this month as an opportunity to thank every single person that volunteered in any form or fashion to help us get out 27,000 neighbor to neighbor letters and 3,000 neighbor to neighbor postcards. We had volunteers from every city, sorting, bagging, distributing, packing things up, writing letters, doing envelopes, and everything in between. So we're just sharing some pictures from some of our events that we had related to neighbor letters. And I also wanted to especially thank our city and regional leads and Dana Garcia in particular for organizing the effort in terms of getting all of the neighbor to neighbor bags organized and distributed, and Allie and Melissa were killing it at the packing parties. And the regional leads really took a hold of this and responsibility for it by taking each of their regions and reaching out to their volunteers to get people signed up to do the actual neighbor to neighbor letter work. We have them all listed here. I don't want to take up too much time by naming them all, but we had so many volunteers, even people that are new to volunteering within our district, that it was very, very encouraging, and people that don't even live in our district signing up to do a packet here and there. I do want to make mention of the Blue Up and Down the Ballot Committee, who really worked for months ahead of time, planning out what was going to be on the voter guide and what was going to be in the letter, the content of the letter. But I especially want to focus on some of our superstars who went above and beyond with the number of packets that they volunteered to do. And those would be Susan Arnold, Gary and Linda Evans, Nancy Fowley-Quagan, Suisan Ho, Mark Holdenack, Danny Sally, Becky Scottney, Jill Seymour, and Brenda Walsh. And again, we mailed all these out last Wednesday, and we've already received lots of really positive feedback from people that have received them. Thankful for the information, whether it's a postcard or a letter. It's been very positive. So again, I just want to thank everybody for all of their hard work. We will have about 3,000 left to do here in the next couple of weeks for people that tend to be day of voters. And so we'll be sharing information about that once we have that all figured out in terms of distribution and timeline. But again, thank you to all of the volunteers, and let's go win.
Yes, and if you need a yard sign, we have yard signs. They do no good in our garage. So Sherry, will you put that information into chat, how they can get them? And so thank you to all of the volunteers. It was amazing. This was the picture that we took after we loaded them all up in these 3 carts. It was a huge, huge effort for everybody. Okay, so.
And Paul, I have a question for you. Can you email out the propositions and which ones to vote yes and no on? I tried looking for it and I couldn't find it.
Are you asking me?
Yes, you.
Okay.
Okay, yes, Ellen,
I looked on the Blue Tuesday website and I couldn't find it.
Yes, I can get you that information, Ellen. Okay. I'll make a note of that. Thanks.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Aren't they on the list that we that you all created? The list of candidates?
Yes, they are, and I will put a link to the voter guide in the chat and people can download it from there. Go ahead, Paul.
Okay.
But did you want more information, Ellen? Is that what you were asking for?
No, I wanted what you went through with Blue Tuesday.
Okay, I have the slides from that Jamie and I put together. Yeah. Okay, I'll get you that. Okay, a quick report. My screen just went to sleep. Okay, Fed only calls. We had several volunteers that helped us urge the 182 LD12 Democrats who were only going to be able to vote for Congress and Senate because through no fault of their own, really, because they used the federal form didn't provide citizenship. Our district called all those 182 people and we converted a lot of them before tomorrow's voter registration deadline. So thank you to everybody that responded to the rapid response on that. We got the list, the phone bank from ADP last week, and you guys all helped me jump on that. And I think we did. I think we're the best district in the state, as usual. So if you do want, they were very satisfying calls. I talked to several people that were just shocked that they were not going to be able to vote for everything. And they were determined to fix it and go to servicearizona.com before tomorrow or go down to the county recorder's office tomorrow in a couple of instances too. So because they really want to get out there and vote up and down the ballot. So if any of you want to help make some of those calls to our neighboring districts, let me know tonight in chat. You can let me know, and I'll get you the information on that. Tomorrow is the deadline for them to do that. Although I was told just tonight by ADP that some counties actually will allow them to convert from Fed only to a full ballot even after tomorrow's deadline, because it's not a re-registration, I guess. She didn't tell me which county specifically, but it's very satisfying to help out with that. Some of you may have seen the news last week that there was a lawsuit, that the Republicans filed a lawsuit claiming that they're not getting their preferred poll workers into polling places here in Maricopa County. That's going to a hearing next week, I just saw today. So it's more important than ever, as I've been preaching. We really need Democrats to step up and be poll workers. Many of you have already. If you know of anybody that wants to be a poll worker for the county or a poll observer.
I was told they've already chosen everybody, and I've been doing polls for 20 years.
That is,
so they're picking and choosing for some reason.
I don't know who that is talking.
Oh, it's Mary.
Oh, hi, Mary.
No, they want
bilingual.
They need bilingual, and I'm not bilingual.
They're still recruiting. They're still recruiting to fill spots for election day spots and for the early voting spots as well. There's no guarantee that you'll get in, that they will be able to assign you somewhere. But if we can make sure that they have enough Democratic poll worker options, that's important. But the Democratic Party also needs us to be poll observers in the polling places and the vote centers throughout the next several weeks. So if you can do either of those, if you have some flexible time over the next few weeks, maybe you'd be a poll observer at some of the early vote centers. Let me know. Give me a call or email me or hit me up in the chat right now. And one other thing I think I had on there, I mentioned the voter registration deadline, campaign signs. This is election integrity and a democracy protection issue. The slashers, the sign slashers that started in the primary campaign they're emboldened, because even though they know that the police know who they are, the police are not doing anything. So we need, if we can all monitor intersections near us, take pictures of when Democratic signs go up, and then take a picture when they get slashed or taken and report it to the police as a PC, or make sure that the candidate reports it. We really need to pepper the police and let them know that they're allowing this crime against our democracy to go unchecked when they really need to be acting. They know who that original sign slasher is. There may be copycats. So that's my election integrity report for tonight.
Yes, and also if somebody does report the sign slashing, we are keeping track of these report numbers, so send them to one of us in Slack or by text or whatever. But Dana is keeping a record. We have about, I think, 7 open cases right now with them. Katie Hobbs' sign went up on Saturday and was slashed by this morning.
Mm-hmm.
So they are not even staying up 48 hours, and it is very, very frustrating. So
yeah,
when people ask why we don't have signs up there, it's because this is what's happening.
Exactly. And I got a response that was wholly inadequate from the detective's supervisor, from the sergeant, a week or so ago. So we just need to keep peppering them, and all of us can help do that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. Well, thank you very much. Thank you, Paul, for your update. And if you guys have questions, Paul stays on. He'll answer any questions. He's my go-to for all of that stuff. So thank you. All right. Well, it wouldn't be an LD meeting if we didn't have calls to action. And we have Thomas, who is joining us from the Stanton campaign, who's now working with Mission for Arizona. Thomas and Allie are going to talk about our I think it's 4 weekends. We have 4 weekends left, right?
Yep, we have 4 full weekends. So I'll start it off. Every weekend from next weekend to election, we will have canvas launches going out at 9 a.m., 12 p.m., and 3 p.m. every Saturday and Sunday. So we really need your guys' help. This is a great opportunity if you're like new to canvassing or things like that, because what we're doing is we're asking voters, how are you going to vote? We're not, we're past that persuasion point, and we're asking voters just how do you intend on voting? We've already canvassed these people and we've already determined that they are supporters. And so we're just making sure that they are voting early or they are planning on going the day of, and how they're going to do that. So it's a great opportunity. It's usually an easy conversation with people. That's how I got started in 2020, and it was, that was wrong year. But that's how I got started, was these GOTV talks. And it's much easier than a persuasion talk. So it's a great opportunity for everyone. We do have one location that is in, I think it's like the Chandler-Tempe border. And then one location shooting out in Ahwatukee every weekend. Those locations might change. I know the Ahwatukee address changes for 2 of the weekends. So when you sign up using those links that we'll all put in the chat, you'll be sent the address based on what day you sign up. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Thomas, who will give you a little bit more information than I already have.
Yeah, so like I said, my name is Thomas. I'm an organizer with Mission for Arizona. Just want to thank you all for coming out tonight. Do see some familiar faces like Doug and Craig, who've been out canvassing every weekend with us. Like Ali said, we're at our GOTV stage of this campaign, trying to get people out to tell them how they're going to vote, and keep pestering those people until they cast their ballot. I'm gonna be honest, we are a little bit below our GOTV canvassing goals, and we're looking for your help. We have canvassing at 9, noon, and 3 every weekend leading up to the election. And in the next couple of weeks, like Ali said, we'll be talking to our turnout universe, people who said they're going to be voting for Greg, Mitzi, Stacey, Patty, any of our Democratic candidates up and down the ballot. If you are unable to canvass yourself or feel uncomfortable, we would love to have you as a driver. That really helps our process along, gets more people out more doors. And if everyone here could sign up for a shift, but all 2 shifts a weekend, we can win this election in LD12 and CD4 and statewide. Really appreciate you guys. I'm going to drop my name and my phone number in the chat. Also phone banks, if you'd like to do it from home, they happen at 5 p.m. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and at 9, noon, and 3 every weekend. So like I said, just going to drop my name and email in the chat, and we look forward to having you people out canvassing and chasing ballots.
And then, Ali, you're going to talk about lit drops. We have, okay.
Yeah, so if you're not if knocking on your doors or talking to voters is not necessarily your thing, we still have other opportunities for you. So LD12 has 5,000 voter guides that we want to get out to volunteers within the next week, or not to get out to volunteers, to get out to voters within the next week. So we're making every effort to get them out. A lot of them are in the Tempe areas right now. They're voters that we haven't talked to. But like I said, this isn't a talking scenario. You're literally taking the lit and the list that I give you, and you're just dropping off literature at their door. So each list or each assignment is about 40 doors at a time. And these can be done any time of the day on any day of the week. So if you're interested in that too, I will also drop the link for that, but it's a great way and easy way to get involved as well.
Mm-hmm. These will be the 5,000 MCDP voter guides that we got. It's a trifold, along with our LD12 voter guide that has every candidate on it. These are, when we made our strategic plan for our district, we strategically pulled list and numbers of who's going to get neighbor to neighbor letters, who's going to get text messages, who's going to get postcards, people are going to get lit drops, canvas. So we really need to try to get these 5,000 out, hopefully by Sunday, because, you know, ballots go out on Wednesday. So if you can canvas and door knock, talk to people, that's the #1 way we get people to vote. Number 2 is to phone bank, and 3 is to lit drop on your own time. So these are great. I take my grandkids for this. They love to run up to the doors and put it there when I am their driver. So, all right. Don't forget, I do have LD12 t-shirts still. If you've ordered a shirt and you have not gotten it, please let me know. I have texted everybody. If you want to order your shirt, you can scan the QR code on the screen. So these are great. I hope we're getting ready to talk about upcoming events and things that are going on. Maybe everybody can wear their LD12 shirt at our next in-person meeting that I'm going to talk about here shortly. Upcoming events. Thursday, we have LD12 candidate debate at Mountain Point High School. It starts at 7. Before the LD12 candidate debate will also be school board, Tempe Union High School. Sherry,
yes.
It didn't get added. I'm sorry. What is it?
Tempe Union governing board candidates will have their debate at 6 p.m. at Mountain Point High School. And then right following them is going to be the LD12 candidate debate, also at Mountain Point High School.
Perfect. Thank you. October 15, water conservation debate. Of course, our leaders and readers. I have Dems and Donuts. We'll get to see the City Council, Phoenix District 6 City Council candidates. I love going to Dems and Donuts. It is early. I say it's early. I go to work at 8, but for some reason, this is early for me for breakfast. But I love this because we have a great time. It's a good time to sit down with Democrats, and we've been getting a lot of new people coming. I want to make a note. We're going to get ready to talk about this. Please make a note. Our Monday, November 21st, is LD12's monthly meeting along with reorganization meeting. It's going to start at 6 o'clock. It's in person. I'm going to be sending out, I'll talk about it in a minute. I won't get ahead. Because on December 10th, MCDP will have their reorganizational meeting. And then also in December, we're trying to plan a holiday party. For the holiday party, we need a team of people to help put this together. I need a team of, let's say, 5 volunteers to contact myself or Sherry. We'd like to get you together to help organize it, come up with a theme, make sure we can get food set up, everything prepared in order to make this happen, because the executive board is really busy trying to do the reorganization meeting along with running an election and trying to get our candidates. We just don't have as much time to put into that holiday party as we would love to. I would love to plan the holiday party. So if you're interested, please let me know. With that, Monday, November 21st, this is the Monday before Thanksgiving. We will be having our reorganizational meeting in person at Lights, Camera, Action, I think it is. Lights, Camera, something. Sorry, Sherry.
Lights, Camera, Discover.
Oh, I was way off. Camera Discover in Ahwatukee off of Warner and 48th. We are going to be electing a new executive board. We do this every 2 years, as well as state committee members. If you are a PC, I've been texting, I have a few people that I don't have email addresses for. And we are going to be sending out a survey tomorrow morning, and it's going to ask you 2 questions. One is, do you want to be a state committee member? And can you attend this Monday, November 21st in-person meeting at 6 p.m.? It's very easy. I'm trying to get some feedback. We are looking at trying to do a hybrid for those that are unable to travel, that want to be state committee members or whatever. But it's very preferred that you attend in person to make it quick and easy. We're starting it at 6 because we know it's going to take a long time. We have 174 PCs, elected PCs. We will be electing 58 committee members, and along with the positions of chair, first chair, second vice chair, secretary, and treasurer for the executive board. Okay. So Lights, Camera, Discover, and Ahwatukee. We are looking at the hybrid option. So this is your time. If you are interested in becoming a board member, an executive board member with LD12, let me know so that we can get you started going with what we're doing. You can start working with us in the background and get an idea of that. I'm working with people to see who's going to run again for the positions. So if you know anybody that's interested or you think would be great, let us know. So if you have questions, are there any questions in the chat about, I wasn't even looking at the chat, sorry.
No, nothing so far.
Okay. Okay, perfect. State committee, oh, really, Paul, you're funny. The state committee meetings will be in person from now on, is what I was told. After last time, it wasn't that great. We spent a long time, but state committee meetings in person have always been great. A lot of people talk about them and they're excited. So please write this date down. It is different than our regular. We won't have a virtual meeting in November. It will be Monday, November 21st, 6 p.m. in person, Lights, Camera, Discover, and Ahwatukee. More information will be going out to elected PCs. So if you have any questions, please let me know. I will always stay on, but with that, I would love to hear from our 3 LD12 Democratic legislative candidates. Representative Mitzi Epstein, who's running for state Senate, Patty Contreras, who's running for Arizona House, and Stacey Travers, who's running for Arizona House. We're gonna open up the floor. We'll start with Mitzi, go with Patty, and then Stacey. We'll give them a couple of minutes. They're gonna give us updates on their campaigns, tell us how things are going, how we're feeling. And then we are going to allow for questions. So if you have any burning questions you wanna ask them, please put them in the chats and we'll make sure we get to them. So I will start off with Mitzi.
Well, thank you, Melissa, and great thanks to the whole exec board for putting these meetings together, and to every one of our volunteers out there. You are just fantastic. It's been great to see you at lunches, and the phones you're doing, the postcards, the letters, every single one you've done is a huge help. So thank you, a million thanks. This is it. This is not the dress rehearsal. We are leading up to the real thing. I agree. I think Doug put in the chat, chasing ballots is easy and fun because people are glad to see you. You're absolutely right. I agree, Doug. So please do sign up for that. We really need people to sign up for these shifts, to drive, to go to doors and talk to people, or just to drop lit off. One of my most fond memories was jumping in the car at like 9 or 10 o'clock at night with Kathy Beebe and Joanne Marcus, and lit dropping at night, and it was just a hoot and a holler. So we can have an awful lot of fun. We need your help, and you know what's on the line. They are trying to teach our kids with completely rewriting social studies, vouchers. Public education has been under attack worse than ever. Democracy is under attack. Your rights to bodily autonomy are under attack. We know we can do so much better. We can bring us into the light of rights for everybody, affordable housing, great jobs, etc. So let's go for it. I know if you're interested, my campaign has at least 5 mailers going out. We've got ads in newspapers. I did radio interviews. There'll be radio ads, plenty of social media ads. Some of you have been commenting on the social media ads, so thank you. Keeping it up, all going is because of you that we can have all this going on, to get the word out, to help people know. Get out and vote. Vote like your democracy depends on it, and vote early. So I will pass it off to my good friend Patty Contreras. And I guess we'll just take questions at the end.
All right, thank you, Mitzi. Yes, I want to just echo the thank you to everybody who did the neighbor to neighbor letters, the postcards, and encourage you all to, help us out by canvassing, knocking on doors, dropping lit. That's just so important at this point in the game. We only have a month left. And it's that time where we're down to the wire here. So we need all the help and everybody to get on board. A couple of things we had a Rotary Club forum last week that Mitzi and Stacey and I attended with our counterparts on the Republican side. Mitzi and Stacey did a great job. And so I think we won some hearts and minds. Want to encourage you all to come out to Mount Point High School on Thursday. I think that should be a lot of fun to do with the high school kids. Like Paul mentioned, our street signs are getting destroyed. I don't think I have any left in Awatuki. The last one I saw, Mitzi's got slashed last week too, and I think Stacey's. So, keep an eye out on those. If you put some more up just to see and report it, because I don't know if it's the same guy, but I know my signs up to Kyrene have gone missing. So we just need to make sure we can keep an eye on that. I'm in Yuma right now. I want to just thank everybody for your thoughts and prayers. I've been down here. My brother's been in the hospital, and I've been helping out with my mom. Fortunately, I have a big family that we can kind of all split a little bit of time here and there. But I would just want to thank those of you who are aware of that for all your thoughts and prayers. My brother is getting out of the hospital today. I'm waiting for their phone call to go back and pick up my mom. So let's see what else. I heard that my mother-in-law actually said that she had received a phone call from somebody wanting to help her with her ballot. So my concern with that is that somebody might be out there preying on our older adults. And so just be aware of that. And if you hear of anything like that, let's try to get some numbers and so we can report that too, because that is not legal. We don't want anybody going in and scamming our seniors of their ballots. So just I'm trying to get more information from her, but she said she deleted the number and also, but just be aware that might be going on out there. And Paul, I hope you heard that. So let's see what else. A couple of new and exciting endorsements. I have a bunch of unions that are endorsing me, but also Chandler Councilman Matt Orlando, and also our Phoenix City Mayor, Kate Gallego. So I was proud to have their endorsements. Along with this being Indigenous Peoples Day, this month is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. I have my purple shirt on from when I was with the city, Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and it's also LGBTQ History Month. So just a couple of other little tidbits for you there to be aware of. Let's see, what else? I think that's all I had, and I'll put some information, ContrerasForAZ.net in the chat. I'm going to be going on and off because I don't like the angle of this camera on my phone, and I'll pass it off to Stacey.
Thanks, Patty. You look perfect in purple, by the way. Thanks for spreading some of that purple magic out there. And great news to hear about your brother. I'm really happy that he's coming home for your whole family. I know it's been a long time coming, so well done. One of the things that I think, if you have a chance to go knocking on the doors, one of the things that you can tell people is kind of what a great team we make. If there's something that's not in somebody's wheelhouse, it's in somebody else's. And Patty just gave a good example there. The time that she's got with her experience at Phoenix City Council, dealing with senior issues, I think is absolutely fantastic. I wouldn't even know sort of where to begin if somebody came to me with that problem. And Patty's, you know, one of her many strengths is to be able to kind of know how to deal with it. If we can get more information out of her mother-in-law, then we can go ahead and warn everybody else to give them a heads up so that they don't kind of fall into those same traps. Because, you know, it sounds innocuous enough. Sure, I could use help with my ballot. Who should I vote for? And you know, if you're not aware and alert, then you don't know. So that's what I've been telling people at the doors is, you know, there are great all female pro-choice slate. We complete each other. So, and there's always something that you can do, regardless of whether you think you have it in your wheelhouse or not. There is always something, whether it's writing or knocking or just walking. Don't ever be intimidated by, oh, I can't do that if we ask you to come canvass, because there's something else. There's always something else to do to help out. And I know that I can speak for all three of us that we are incredibly grateful for the amount of effort and outreach and help that you have given us all, because we do it for our community, and the thanks that we get is how you guys come to us as a community to help us out as well, and that's how it really needs to work. I won't keep you guys any longer than that. Just like, you know, with Patty, it's been really fantastic. The endorsements have been coming in. We've been meeting different organizations and learning how to work with community, so that, you know, we can help our constituents even more. We know where to go. We know the advice that we need to get. We could all use help with fundraising. So, you know, make sure you go to our websites. $5 or $10 helps get mailers out. We're doing joint mailer pieces. We've done joint lit. You know, don't think when we ask for money that you have to cough up $500. $5, $10 helps all the campaigns out. So go to our websites if you want to learn more about us and our policies, and I will leave it at
that. I think we had one question. Did you see that? Hold on, I'm going to put all three of you guys up so that everybody can see our three people. But I know that we had a question early on from Chris Pilgrim. She wanted to know how the flat tax is going to impact education.
Well, it won't. It will impact everything. And because it's just less revenue. And it means that everybody else is paying so much more, because all that they did with the flat tax is take away that tax on millionaires, you know, billionaires, really. So, you know, we used to have a progressive tax that was up to this income, you pay 1 or 2%, then you pay 3% for the next level income. And for the last level income, it goes up to 4 or 4.5%. Well, they took away that, brought everybody down to 2.5%. And the problem is that makes it very regressive. And I've got a video coming out that talks about why regressive taxes are so bad, especially for our seniors who have retired. Arizona is a place where when you retire, you go to a higher income level than you did, a higher tax. You're taxed higher at a higher rate than you were when you had more income. So the flat tax is not flat, number one. The only way you can have a flat tax is if you remove all the carve-outs and loopholes. And Arizona taxes are just Swiss cheese of carve-outs and loopholes. So it's certainly not flat. It's certainly not fair. It's going to be less money for everything, not just for schools. But the big problem right now is that no Republicans are saying, yes, I will lift that AEL cap. You know, this is the cap that says the legislature put this money in the bank, in the budget for schools, but now this constitutional cap says they cannot spend it. And this is like 18, 20 or more % of our school district's budgets. And the governor has said he doesn't have the votes. He cannot, the Republicans will not lift that cap, meaning a 20% cut to our school districts. This is something to be enraged about. You know, this is every 5th teacher just gets furloughed for the rest of the year. This is enormous, and it's horribly insulting from every Republican legislator who's refusing to vote to lift the cap. It's an enormous slap in the face. They cannot say they support education and not lift that cap. So one more reason to get out there and vote and make sure we elect Travers, Contreras, and Epstein. Sorry, long answer to a quick question.
Okay, I have a question for you guys. I would like to hear about your best or most memorable at the door experience, and maybe a bad or funny one. Go ahead, Patty.
I'll tell my story, and it was a gentleman. I walked up to his house, and I think he'd been celebrating a bit, and you know, so he was like, "Sure, I'll be voting for all the Democrats." You know, yes. And he says, "You couldn't make me drunk enough to vote for a Republican." I thought that was pretty funny. But
I gotta love the enthusiasm. If only we could get that at every door, right?
Yeah.
Stacey or Mitzi, do you have one?
Well, I had man at the door recently. He was a Republican. That was his voter registration. I could see it. We're having a lovely talk about the importance of supporting public schools, handling water with high accountability. And I said, "It sounds like you're in favor of all these Democratic positions." And he says, "I'm voting for all Democrats." And then he says, "You may be surprised to hear that from me since I'm a Republican, but they just haven't given me anybody else to vote for." So, or he said, "It's because I'm an old-fashioned Republican. I'm a Republican from way back." You know, and I said to him, "When they were the party of accountability and local control, right?" And he said, "Right." And I said, "That's the Democrats now." So here we are.
That's great.
Mitzi, we need more of those.
That's true. Well, we have a surprisingly large number of them. No, don't get me wrong. There are folks who open the doors and say, I'll never vote for a Democrat. I hate Democrats. Go away, Democrats. Those happen. But we are also finding the opposite too. So it's you know, I love the doors. It's great times to listen to people.
Yeah, I had a very long conversation with a lady. Her entire household is Republican, and she says they call themselves McCain Republicans, and they are going to be voting all Democrat this year and all. But you know, we saw eye to eye on a lot of different subjects, including gun control, gun reform, and abortion, which was very interesting. So it was, but I almost couldn't get away from the door. I think I spent 15-20 minutes with her. So.
You know, I love it when it becomes a family affair. And I had one where one woman comes to the door and she calls her sister and her mother. And the sister says, I was collecting signatures at the time. The sister says, "Oh, I'm calling my husband. He's just 2 doors down there and he's going to come out of the driveway and sign too." So, you know, people love to be helpful and it's a great experience.
Stacey, what about you?
Should we have a bad one? You guys have all had good ones. Sure. My favorite was somewhere in Ahwatukee. A guy opens the door and he's got a sandwich in his mouth. And I start, you know, "Hi, I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm running for da-da-da." And he's chewing the whole time and he's just going, chewing. And then finally he does a big, "You Democrat or Republican?" And I said, "Democrat." And then all I could do was see the door slamming. It was like, bloop. Okay, another door gone.
Oh, I had one of those, Stacey. You know, he was asking me, so what do you think about what they're teaching in school? And I said, "What, you know, math, English?" You know, he said, "No, you know, that stuff." I said, "Social studies, history," you know. He said, "No, trans." I'm like, "They don't teach trans." Well, he says, "Well, you just lost my vote." I'm like, I don't think I really had his vote, but you know, it's yeah, we get a few.
Exactly. Okay, so I think in response to what Mitzi was talking about earlier, Margaret Tinsley asks, "What is the GOP holding out for?"
Nobody knows, but the fact that they want to make children the bargaining chip is a disgusting position for them to take.
Yep, I agree 100%. Do you have anything to add to that, Stacey?
I do. I mean, I think it was very telling. I don't know if everybody, excuse me, or anybody knows who Dana Loesch is. She is a member, a spokeswoman for the NRA. And she was on a podcast and they were talking about Herschel Walker. And for those of you who might not know, he's the GOP candidate running for Senate in Georgia. And it has been disclosed that he had a girlfriend and he paid for an abortion. And then she got pregnant a second time and he wanted a second abortion. And he is, you know, he's marketing himself as a family man and a Christian. And he's got 4 different children that he's never spent any time with, et cetera, et cetera. So Dana Loesch was on a podcast and she said, basically, I don't care if Herschel Walker wanted to abort an extinct bald eagle. I want control of the Senate. And I think that sums up, you know, where the Republican Party is headed right now. They will use and say anything to garner fear and resentment, as long as the ultimate goal is to have the power and the control. And that's really all it is. It's not really about necessarily any ideology that's going to create a better world for their, you know, for their constituents through their party. It's just a power grab. And I thought that she said the quiet part very out loud, and it makes me sad. It makes me sad for where we're going as a, you know, as human beings. That's all.
Yeah, you're right. I saw that too, and we said the same thing. It's all about power and control and nothing else. It's not about helping people. And I think as Democrats, we're very idealistic and we want what's good for the greater good for everybody. But we're not necessarily always as loud and obnoxious about it as other people are. So,
but we can, just to interrupt you, you know, and I'll finish with this because I know we need to move on. But we can be. I mean, at the Rotary thing that we were all at, you know, I sort of, my closing statement was, it doesn't matter what party you're on, but what are your tenets as Rotary Club members? Have the people who have been on stage here been honest with you? And we all know that they were all telling, you know, Richardson was going on with his late-term abortions and Chaston was going on with his CRT, and, you know, and it's like, have these people been honest with you? And do they hold to the tenets that you hold as Rotary members? And I think that's, you know, when we're having these honest conversations, we have to, you know, we have to say, who are we and who do we want to be? And you know, you stick to that, and it's, you know, and people will see through the BS, I think. At least I felt like they did with the 3 of us at the Rotary. You know, the 3 of us came at every answer honestly and with integrity, and I think people saw that.
I think that's why it's so important when you guys are talking to people, doing these forums, going to the doors, is you can see when somebody is genuine and it's something that matters to you versus just a talking point, you know, to try to persuade somebody. So I definitely understand that you guys are making those connections with voters every time you have these events. And I'm really, really looking forward to the Mountain Point event to see what the students ask, because I feel like they always ask questions that are not on the usual lineup of questions. And I'm always curious to see what they come up with. And I'm always super impressed with the kids that are involved in that, just in general. I know that's one of Sean's favorite things too. One other quick question. Do you guys have any other candidates that you're super excited about getting elected this time around? Besides yourselves, of course. I'll start with Patty.
I would really like to see LD9, you know, get their slate elected. It would be great. They're in the Mesa, the West Mesa, Lorena, Seth, and Eva. And that would just be awesome. They're working their tails off over there, and it would just be exciting to have them as seatmates with all of us down. Besides, of course, the upper echelon and all of the Dems that we need to elect. So, you know, Chris and Katie and all those guys. But yeah, I think that would be very, very. We just need to help them out too in LD9.
Yes. Speaking of which, LD9 is trying to wrap up their neighbor to neighbor outreach too, and they have a bunch of postcards that need to be sent out. So if anybody has any free time, they're doing neighbor to neighbor letters, and so is Save Our Schools. Mitzi or Stacey, do you have anybody else that you're super excited about?
Well, you know, the trio of Governor, Secretary of State, and Attorney General those are the three elected officials that certify an election. And our Democrats are fabulous, highly qualified. They're ready to do the job the day one. And their opponents are election deniers. Their opponents are in favor of, would have overturned and decertified the actual voters' choices in the 2020 election. These are scary, scary opponents. I am working hard to make sure that we elect Hobbs, Fontes, and Mays for these terribly important jobs. And we're so lucky that such highly qualified people want the jobs and are running for them. So that's what's important to me. And yes, LD9 and so many of other important legislative spots too.
Let's get Martine in there too.
Yes. Stacey?
The candidate, okay, I'll keep it brief. So first of all, our school board candidates, Trina, Kevin, Patti Serrano, Jacob, everybody who are in unpaid positions, who are doing it because they love their students and they care about their community. Jennifer Germain, who is just, I feel like I'm at the Academy Awards, thanking everybody. She's been a great source of inspiration. Both Jennifer and Sean and Mitzi have been really wonderful in helping us out with questions that we might have that where we don't know where we're going. Lauren Kuby for her random act of kindness. She knows what I'm talking about, and her hustle. Nobody hustles more or better than Lauren Kuby. Did I mention Joan Green? I love her. She's just so deeply rooted in community and cares about everybody. And if there's anybody I've missed, I don't mean to, but I'm kind of fangirling on Kelly Butler. Kelly Butler's a little bit of I see her and I kind of fangirl. So yeah.
I was not expecting that answer, but okay, Kelly Butler it is. Woohoo! But I agree with you. Lauren Kuby, her energy and first of all, her knowledge base is ridiculous. But then she's the biggest cheerleader for Sandra Kennedy. At every event, she's not just talking about herself, she's talking about her ballot partner. And I just love it. I'm like, she's everybody's biggest cheerleader. I love it. All right, I think we had one, it's not really a question, but more of a statement about teacher pay being so terrible, and what the options are for teachers in other states and overseas and how we can't keep up and compete with that. Do you guys have any plans in terms of teacher pay that you can talk about?
Would just definitely like to see it raised, and we just need to elect our Democrats, get them in office.
Right. The funding that we got in the budget this past year was not even enough to keep up with inflation in terms of the funding that will be repeated year after year. So our teachers are going to start out behind the 8 ball, and we've got to fix that right away.
Yep, definitely do. I believe that's all for the questions that we have for tonight. Thank you guys so much. Got 30 days to go, but not really 30 days to go. So let's get out there. All the volunteers, GOTV, lit dropping, the last few bit of neighbor to neighbor letters. Let's get them over the finish line so that we can win these races that we all say are the most important election of our time, which is really true this time. It's not just lip service. So let's get out there and help them finish strong.
Thank you. Thank you, Sherry, and thank you to the candidates. I put the Bada Bing raffle back up. We'll put it into the chat. We have left to hear back from our current LD legislators, and we'll hear from Mitzi again, Jennifer Germain, and Senator Sean Bowie. They only have a couple more months left in their current, and then in January we'll have new ones, but we'll have same. So I wanted to make sure everybody gets a chance for our October Bada Bing raffles. These are amazing. Bada Bing raffles help us fundraise for all these neighbor to neighbor letters. And while this, I'm going to leave it up for a second and just remind you, here's where your money went this year. Our biggest was 27,000 neighbor to neighbor letters with a candidate slate piece. 3,000 postcards were mailed this time. We also did another 10,000 postcards earlier this year to Chandler, to anybody who is new to our district. We are sending out 25,000 text messages on Wednesday in our district for people to download their voter guides. We are doing 3,000 additional letters for those who like to vote on election day. And there's one thing that I didn't get a chance to talk about earlier was MCDP did a voter guide with our candidates, and it has a lot of candidates on there, but we got 5,000 of those to lit drop, and we're getting 10,000 of them mailed tomorrow. So I gave MCDP a list. So we have reached, almost every single Democrat in our district, almost every independent. We reached Republicans. We're doing amazing work. So thank you to your support, donating to the LD12. We truly appreciate everybody that helps us out. So with that, I'm going to give a few minutes for Mitzi to give an update, Jennifer and Sean. So Mitzi, would you like to go first? I feel like.
Sure. I wasn't caught off guard. No, really. It's so I wanted to let you know one thing. First of all, the governor has said no to a special session at all. And even though the entire Democratic caucus asked for a special session on lifting the AEL, that's the education funding limit, we asked for a special session to repeal the 1864 ban on our bodies, the complete and total abortion ban. We asked for just repeal that, and they said no. And we asked for a special session to allow for us to pay for our maintenance of our roads, and this is in Maricopa County, and they said no to that too. These are all very sensible things. Actual leaders would have said yes, but this governor said no. So this is very disappointing, and I am really worried about the AEL. If just using children as a bargaining chip is so heinously dishonest and mean. I am without words for this Republican leadership of elected officials. Their choices here are just heinous to me. So that's a problem. Also, we have 2 new education laws that went into effect that I am very worried about, but hopefully our school board members and our teachers can push back to try to bring some sense to our school classrooms. The one says that social studies curriculum is going to come from a Koch brothers think tank. There's 3 of our universities, even though they're state universities, they have schools within them that are funded by the Koch brothers and their ilk. And this is a state law that says the State Board of Education should go to them and get a social studies curriculum. And then that curriculum must be taught in our high schools. So hopefully our school boards and teachers can bring sensibility to that, but that's a scary, scary law. That's just asking for propaganda. The second one is just completely slipping my mind right now because that one was so bad. You know that the vouchers are there, and again, propaganda is the way to go. That in a public school, we learn according to what the consensus is of what's truth. In a private school, it's the opinions of the owner, and that's beautiful for private money, but public money should be in public schools. And now we have vouchers for everybody. It is costing, I think we're up to $158 million that right away, people who are already in private schools have asked for a voucher to pay for their private school that they were already paying for themselves. So this is just an expansion of what public dollars are used for, and it's going to private schools where we don't have any accountability. So my intention is to take a very serious look at if we're going to spend public money to private schools, we're going to create a whole bunch of new laws for private schools. So look forward to that. And thank you again for all your help. It's going to be a wild ride.
Thank you very much. Jennifer?
Hi, everybody. I just have a very short update. We are getting ready to hold our first meeting on missing and murdered Indigenous people, restarting after the pandemic lockdowns on our tribal nations. So we'll be out at Tohono O'odham, just south of the village of Sells on Friday. And then we'll be out at the Pasquayaki Judicial Complex, just south of Tucson on the 28th, and then up to the Navajo Nation. We're still looking for a location either in Chinle or Window Rock. And after, at the end of November, we will be at the Salt River Pima Maricopa Indian Community in their council chambers. And then finally on December 9th at the Arizona Capitol. And we are really excited. We've got our scope expansion to look at men and boys and two-spirit relatives as well. And we are going to be delving into some of the complexities because the Castro Huerta decision by the Supreme Court last session really upended a lot of federal Indian law that has been longstanding for years and years and years. So we need to look at how the state is going to mitigate some of these issues. And a big part of that is going to be getting the right person in the Attorney General's office and the right people in the county attorney's offices. So Chris Mays and Julie Gunnigal's races are critical to prosecuting murders that happen in our tribal nations. We've been working really, really well with Laura Kubina, who's the Pima County attorney. And I think she's done a fabulous job and really built a great partnership with the tribal nations that are down in Pima County. And hoping that that can be a model for the rest of the state. But that is what has been consuming a lot of my time. And I know you had asked our candidates about door knocking, and I'm really kind of surprised to tell you guys that I've been knocking doors in LD12 and LD13, and I've only had 2 naked people this cycle. So it's a little bit of an anomaly of very small amounts of naked people.
Thank you for that. I think you made my night for that. Like, I'm just laughing so hard. Sean? Do you have any
how do I top that? I've had naked people too, but it's been a while. Anyway, really quickly, wanted to give you guys an update on the aggregate expenditure loan meg, because that's something I've been working on. Those of you who remember our updates in the summer, where we talked about the budget and how that came together, that was something that was promised to us, to me directly, and to others. And the governor's office has been clear that we need to get the votes, a 2/3 majority vote in both chambers for a special session. So we need our Republican colleagues to step up to the plate and join us in supporting this. It can't just be Democrats and 1 or 2 Republicans. That's how we kill bills. In this case, we need 40 votes in the House and 20 votes in the Senate. So 2 weeks ago, I had a teletown hall with one of my Republican colleagues in the Senate who was supportive of lifting the AEL. We had hundreds of people on the call, teachers, superintendents, principals, and so on, asking people to contact their legislators. We've been reaching out to our colleagues. At last count, we have over 40 votes in the House for lifting the AEL. So I think we are there in the House. We're currently 1 or 2 votes short in the Senate. So those conversations are continuing. One factor here is timing. We have a lot of folks who would not mind lifting the AEL, folks who lifted it back in February for this current school year, but they want to wait until after Election Day in November. And more specifically, they want to wait until after the leadership vote in November because they feel it might impact the leadership votes for the leadership that's coming in January. So I feel pretty good that we are going to have a special session between November 8th and January 9th, somewhere in that time frame, at least for 1 year on the AEL. We're asking for 2 years. We're asking for a referral to the ballot in 2024 just to get rid of it entirely. I don't know if we're going to get that, but I feel pretty good about getting at least an extra year for the AEL so we can give our school districts more certainty in this next school year so they can spend the almost $1 billion of additional ongoing funding that we got them in the budget this year. So I hope to have more good news on that as we gear up for Election Day and after the election, but that's the latest on the AEL. So thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you to everybody. And so it is your last chance to buy the raffle tickets. Jeff and Joe, or Joe, are you on?
I am here. Hello, everyone. Thanks to our many speakers and thanks to our generous donors, of course. I filed the latest campaign finance form. It's available on the Secretary of State site for anybody that would like to peruse it. The next cycle ends, it doesn't actually end on the last day of October. It ends, I believe, on the 22nd, if I recall correctly. So there'll be another filing on the 22nd or so. Anyway, let's get to the raffle. We sold a lot of raffle tickets for the Happy Halloween, so we'll do that one first. It looks like we had 171 tickets total.
Joe, you're not sharing your screen.
Oh, and I just thought of that right when you said that.
That's okay.
So here we go. Okay. We sold 171 tickets for the Happy Halloween. So let's go in here to our random number generator and see who the lucky Halloween winner is. It is number 16. And number 16 is Marie Colangelo. Congratulations, Marie. You're the lucky winner. Happy Halloween. The second one was the It's Wine O'Clock. We sold 89 tickets of the wine basket. So let's see who our lucky winner is. Lucky number 36. So 36 is right there. And Gavin Lee, congratulations, Gavin. You're the lucky winner of It's Wine O'Clock. And with that, again, I want to thank everyone. And I will go ahead and unshare and go back on mute. Thank you.
All right. Well, I want to thank everybody for joining the meeting. We are ending 6 minutes early and got started 2 minutes late. I think it's a record for us. So I'll stay on for a few more minutes. Thank you, everyone that attended.